I've got some exciting news for those who are still playing Back 4 Blood to this day. Just barely a month, basically, from when the game has been out, we have finally seen the roadmap for Back 4 Blood. And it actually looks really good. A bunch of stuff will be coming out. A lot of free stuff and a lot of actual paid stuff. But don't let that worry you too much, because let's take a look at the free updates. So we have one coming out here in November. Actually, really soon. By the time you're watching this video, it could have already been out, or it's coming out literally like the next day. But regardless, November, we're going to have a big update that's going to change the quality of life and add major improvements and bug fixes. We're talking a ton. They showed the patch notes already for the November 2021 update, and it is like 4-5 pages long. It's absolutely insane the amount of changes, improvements they've made. Now, a lot of it is card adjustments, and some of it is health and things like that. But I will cover that on another video, because that is going to take like 20 minutes alone just to read through that. But let's move on to one of the next updates here in December. So next month, we are going to have new features. We're going to have new supply lines for you to unlock cards. We're going to have a ridden practice area. So just like we have at Fort Hope, where you can just kind of shoot your guns and screw around, my guess is we're going to have something similar to that, where you can play as different types of riddens and mess around and practice. That'd be kind of cool. Not that important to me personally, but it's a cool little feature, I guess, when you're screwing around, waiting for your friends to build their deck, etc., while hanging out in Fort Hope. They're also going to be having a holiday seasonal event, a Christmas event. We don't know anything about that actual event, but my guess is maybe the zombies, the ridden, will be dressed up maybe, or we're going to have different type of cards for the holidays, or maybe a special game mode. Don't know, but I doubt it's going to be a game mode, just going to be an event. But here's the great news for those solo players, or those who've been staying away from the game, because if you were to play by yourself, the solo progression did not exist in this game. Well, they are adding solo offline with campaign progression finally. So you will be able to play the game by yourself and progress through the levels, learning supply or earning supply points and getting new cards, etc., giving you the full experience for this game. Now, we are going to have a new card type and new cards. When it comes to the new card type, I'm not exactly sure what that means, other than you have your mobility cards, like your damage dealing cards, the coin ones, right, and stuff like that. I imagine it's going to be another type like that, maybe a defensive one, or I don't even know, actually. There's a lot of opportunities for that to bring in, so we'll see what they do there. And of course, new cards, which makes sense because there's going to be new supply lines. So I mean, obviously those go hand in hand. So that's it for this year. For 2021, we have improvements coming this month, and then new features next month in December. Now for 2022, they didn't actually give us any windows, whether it's Q1, Q2, Q3, etc. We don't know, but it says they are going to be adding a new difficulty. Now, we don't know if that's going to be harder than Nightmare, like a Nightmare Plus, or if it's going to be a new difficulty in between. My guess is, if you're wanting to bring players back to the game, it's going to be a difficulty more difficult than Nightmare. It just has to be. Otherwise, why else would you come back for an easier difficulty to play the game? Now, there are going to be more player cards, new corruption cards, a new co-op mode, a melee update, and more quality of life improvements. Now, I'm kind of curious what they mean by melee updates. What more can they do for the melees? I feel like melee is actually in a pretty good spot, especially when building a really good deck. But I don't know. Maybe they'll get rid of the friendly fire. That'd be awesome, but I highly doubt that, and that's kind of late for anything like that to happen. So maybe they do some type of overhaul, or maybe add a whole bunch of new melee weapons into the game, or they make melee a completely separate slot. That could be really cool, but that would completely change the entire game, so I highly doubt that's going to happen. So that's what we have on the roadmap for the free updates. Let's jump into what they have to show us for the annual pass owners, and what will be coming out next year in 2022 that will require you to spend money if you didn't buy like the deluxe edition or the annual pass, etc. So it looks like we do have a little teaser here of the expansion 1, Tunnels of Terror, which, I mean, obviously all we can see is this little tiny screenshot here, but it looks like obviously tunnels, right? We're going deep inside of a ridden hive is my guess, right? It looks cool, I guess. We don't know anything about it. We don't know if it's just going to be one act with a bunch of levels, etc. We don't know. I imagine we'll, obviously, as time goes on, we will know more about it. And I don't know how much it's going to cost. $10, $15, $20? We do know that Back 4 Blood is going to be monetizing basically everything in this game, so we're not surprised by that. We knew that from day one. Heck, we knew that like during the alpha last year that they were going to start charging money for stuff like that. But you know what? It is what it is. So what else is going to be coming other than this expansion? We're going to get new cleaners, ridden activity type weapons, cards, and exclusive skins. So a bunch of different stuff coming in. I am curious though, because it looks like, and I could be wrong, it looks like that is part of the annual pass. Well, obviously it's part of the annual pass. What am I saying? What I mean is, it sounds like that's going to be paid. So if you want to play as a cleaner or the ridden or activity type, you got to pay for it. That seems a little interesting, especially since the cleaners have special perks. This might all of a sudden become pay to win. Now, of course, that doesn't really affect that much, right, when you're playing campaign, but when you're playing the PvP swarm mode, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Kind of weird in my opinion why they would start throwing stuff like that behind paywalls instead of just like ludicrous silly looking skins, etc. I don't know. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Back for Blood, because funny enough, there's not a whole lot of people playing it as much as they did after the first week. I mean, go figure, most games like that eventually will die off. But man, this game's only a month old, and we got games that are 12 years old taking precedence over this game already. Did they do it wrong? Did they do it right? I don't know. Stay tuned for that one, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.